today. My name is Shannon and this is my YouTube channel, Whisky and Wool. Sorry, I'm just like adjusting my mic. I'm coming to you from northern New Jersey where I work and live and craft. I live right across the Hudson River from New York City in a lovely urban neighborhood. Yes, it is perfect. So close to the city, and also still reasonably commutable to my job, which is west of me in New Jersey as well. So if it's your first time here, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I really enjoy my knitting community that we've built here, and I love reading your comments and responding. I've been doing this. I was figuring it out this morning. I started to do the YouTube channel in 2018, right after Vogue Knitting Live that year. It's been a long time. It's 2026 now. So I am going to hit my 8th anniversary in a few weeks when Vogue rolls around again. Welcome, long-term viewers. It's good to have you here, and I really, so far in the 8 years, have not had any challenge to reply to most or all of the messages that I receive, comments on the channel, and comments that are sent to me via Ravelry or Instagram. So yes, thank you for being here. So this is season 6 of Knitter's Life, episode 1. I talk about this practically every year, why the seasons and the episode numbers. I find that it's a little bit more of an entryway for folks that are new to see an episode 1, so they don't feel like they've missed much. So I'm going to do a little bit of recap, and then I'm going to catch you up on my current knits. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my knitting for 2025 and just go through it with you. I realized that I left my notebook with all my data across the room. So short, brief interlude here while I go get it. Probably looked like nothing to you, me running across the room. Okay, yes. So brief recap for 2025. I do recaps a little bit differently. I don't really talk in depth about everything I knit in 2025. I'm just going to give you a summary. I have for the last 4 years have been working on stashing down, although I've never really seriously done stash downs where I have never done a no-buy year. I just have been practicing awareness of how much what I'm buying, making sure that what I'm buying is either for a planned project that I'm going to cast on very quickly within a month or two, or some exceptional buy, like an exceptional price, especially these days with the U.S. tariffs that have kicked in. It's really been much more expensive to purchase yarn from overseas, and there are not a lot of US yarn producers, so that makes us be a little more aware of when there are sales and stuff. So it has to be an exceptional purchase, or in terms of like it's super special or it's just a really awesome price. I have purchased yarn and destashes, but I'm not going to give you those totals per se, just my general overall totals. So I do my totals by yardage, but also quantity of projects. So this year I had a really low knit year for me. I knit only 20 projects, which isn't very many for me. It's the lowest I've knit since 2016. I always have been somewhere in the 30 to 40 range in terms of projects. And that includes like small projects like baby items or socks or things like that. So this year, my summary of 20 projects was 11 adult-sized sweaters, one of those being a vest, a slip over with no sleeves. And there was 2 short sleeve sweaters in there, 1 kid sweater for my granddaughter, only 5 pairs of socks, which is a real step down since I decided to start knitting socks. I have all my data here from the last like 5 years or so. In 2022 I knit 10 pairs of socks, and in 2023 I knit 14 pairs of socks, and in 2024 I knit 10 pairs of socks. So only knitting 5 pair was a real step down. And I had decided earlier on this year that I wasn't going to knit socks for all my kids, all my kids and their partners. I've been doing that the past few years, and that's why I had so many socks. But I just decided this year I wanted a break from all the sock knitting and the pressure to knit socks for them, and I told them ahead of time, I'm not giving you socks this year. I did make 2 exceptions. One was my son's father-in-law, where I stayed at his house over Christmas, and I've been gifting him socks for this is my 3rd year in a row giving him socks. He really loves them, and he's knit worthy, so that was my main Christmas gift for him. And then the other exception was my future daughter-in-law. One of my sons is partnered but not yet married. They will be getting married later this year. She requested socks specifically, so I gifted her my countdown socks for this year, my 24 stripe countdown socks from Woolens and Nosh, which I'll talk about in my finished objects in a bit. So those were my 2 exceptions, and that's included in my 5 sock count. Besides those, I knit 1 pair of mitts, 1 hat, and 1 cowl. So those were my total, including projects that I finished. So some of those were holdovers from the previous year, from 2024, that I had not yet finished. So I counted, these were my 20 finishes. And you're going to see in my knit projects in a little bit that I have 4 continuing projects, whips that are holdovers from 2025 that I intend to finish this January. I want all of them done. So we'll get to those. All right, so my total yardage that I knit was 16,500 yards. No surprise, that's way down from my past year. For example, in 2024, I knit 24,000 yards, and in 2023, I knit 52,000 yards. So it's a real drop down. And also, not surprisingly, I did not purchase as much, did I? I purchased slightly less. How did I do in 2024? Oh, yeah. I actually purchased more in 2025 than I did in 2024. I did a really good job in 2024 stashing down. I sold... I destashed 20,000 yards, so roughly 90 skeins or so. I was really aggressive with my destashing. This year I wasn't as aggressive with destashing. I was like more like, if it happens, it happens. I did try to destash some yarn, and I simply wasn't successful. Just no takers, so I ended up donating a bunch of yarn. So including destashing, including donations, was about 7,500 yards. And so yarn I purchased, though, 9,000 yards, and yarn I spun 8,000 yards. So my spinning is about on par. Is it with 2024? No, in 2024 I spun a little more. I spun 10,000 yards. So this year I spun 8,000 yards. I destashed 7,500. So yarn in was 17,000. Yarn out was 24,000. Total minus 7,000 yards, which I mostly knit with fingering weight. A lot of this was also probably DK. So if you average that between, around 300 yards, that's about 21 skeins. So it's really not as impressive as the previous year where I destashed much more. Okay, so this year for the first time I decided to also tally up my fiber. I didn't do it before, so I don't really have a point of comparison, but I know in my purchasing of fiber and such, I was a little looser this year. I had intentions last year of, like, probably maybe in the first half of 2025 might be a good way to put it. I had intentions of destashing a lot of fiber, like just not destashing it, but just using it up and not buying a lot, not purchasing a substantial amount of fiber, and just spending what I have. But that kind of changed when I hit Tour de Fleece. I just get so swept up in so much of the Tour de Fleece stuff. And then a couple things happened. One was I joined a Melly Knits. Melly Knit is if you don't know Melly, her name is Melissa. She goes by Melly Knits. She's a Canadian producer. She hand processes, and you're going to see some of her stuff here in today's episode when I get to my stash additions. She hand processes, like hand scours, hand picks, hand cards, or uses a drum carder to make bats and sells. Like, her product is bar none. Like, I haven't found anyone else who makes stuff like she does. Really, really excellent, interesting blends. She does these fantastic advent calendars, like countdown calendars, like 12-day, all different types. And she's super generous with her time and her knowledge of fiber and fleece. So, I talked about this earlier this year when it happened. I had won a prize, and my prize was unscoured fleece, or I could have half as much fleece and have it scoured and processed. So I chose to scour. So this year, for the first time, I tried scouring. It was pretty interesting. I did enjoy it. What I didn't enjoy was how time consuming it is to hand card washed fleece. So I had picked up from Melly a guts bag, what she calls a guts bag, which is fleece that she's scoured, but you have to pick it and you have to card it. So I had picked up some of that earlier in the year and knew that I could do it. I bought a blending board for a really great price from Brother. Brother had a promotional blending board that they gave out, so I have that blending board. I've used it a few times. It's fun. It's just super slow, and it's not something that I think I want to do on a regular basis. I'm actually considering getting a drum carder. I really, really would like one. I just have, like, I'm going to talk to you about life stuff later at the end, some life updates. But I need to clean out one of my closets. I've been keeping stuff since I've moved in. I moved in 2.5 years ago, and almost 3 years, actually. It'll be 3 years this May. And I have stuff in one of my closets that's primarily storage that I was looking at that I'm not going to use it. I'm just not going to use it. So I counted probably about 4 pretty good sized bins. Moving one of them, would, oh my gosh, hiccups, stop. Moving one of them would make room for me to have a spot for a drum carder. I would really like an electric drum carder, and that would help me work on some of the, the fiber I've bought since I experimented. I've bought other fiber, and I have hand carded it on the blending board. I haven't spun everything, but I have a lot of it, and I've got more fiber. I had some fiber in my stash that really needed to be carded that I had never carded, but I went ahead and spun it, and I already knit it into a sweater. That was a few years back, but I still have more of that. I had bought quite a substantial quantity of that fiber. It's this really beautiful cinnamon color Porth. It really needs to get carded though, because it has some second cuts in it and stuff, so that would get rid of those. I would find those and take those out, which would be great. Or maybe picking it would do the trick as well. So there is some hand processing on my horizon for 2026. I also added up how much fiber I bought. I bought a lot of fiber. Oh my goodness. So I purchased 4,500 grams of fiber, which translates into about 44 skeins, 44 skeins of yarn. And if you calculate those as being about 300 yards, because I probably spin about a sport weight, so 320, 340, somewhere around there in terms of my spinning, that would be, I probably use anywhere from 3 to 6 skeins per project. So that would be 3, 1, 11, 10, 12 projects. So it would basically be every project that I would, in terms of big projects. So it would be like a sweater a month. I'm not going to stress about that though. What I've struggled with spinning this year, what I realized at the top of the year, was that I wasn't doing a good job connecting the fiber I was purchasing with yarn I would produce and yarn I'd want to knit with. So the yarn I produce and the yarn I want to knit with weren't connecting. So I ended up making, in the past couple years, a lot of yarn that I produced a lot of yarn, but I didn't want to knit with it. So I'm trying to do a better job with that, like purchasing fiber that connects to yarn I produce and makes that jump to yarn I also want to knit with. So that's what I'm going to continue to focus on in spinning for 2026. After Tour de Fleece in 2024, I made the decision to spin every day. I had not done that before. I know people talk a lot about spinning every day and the importance of spinning every day, and I didn't really think it applied to me. I'm a fast learner especially with fiber arts. I'm a very fast learner. I quickly adapt to I don't know, I just have like this knack for it. There's certain materials that I have a knack for. I definitely have a knack for metals as well, which is kind of funny to me that I have these affinity for two very different products. But anyway, I realized that I just wanted to make it a priority. Like for the last several years, probably last decade or so, I know that when I wake up in the morning, I have a slow thyroid and I'm on medication, and I take that medication daily for it. But what that translates into sometimes is a lot of brain fog in the morning, especially. So I need time to wake up. And it's usually about 30 to 45 minutes of time that where I just usually sit quietly and do something like knit, or I try not to scroll on my phone, although it's been really hard the last several months because of the world just being so tumultuous. So I have I decided at the end of Tour de Fleece, where I was spinning every day, that I was going to make time. I was going to carve out every morning time, anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes or 40 minutes, however much time I needed to spin, because that's a fairly low bar in terms of concentration for me, and it's very meditative. So it was giving me the time I needed to wake up, to clear the brain fog and start thinking about the day ahead and the things that I needed to do. And the stuff that I needed to accomplish. So that's been really, really helpful with my spinning. And I think that's why last year and this year both, I ended up spinning a pretty significant quantity. Because if you look at the years before that, I learned how to spin in 2019. If you look at the years before that, I had only spun about 4,000 or 5,000 yards. And I wasn't prioritizing spinning. Weeks would go by and I wasn't spinning. What spinning every day has done for me, which if at the outset, I probably would have said that's not going to happen. But what it did do that I need to admit now is that it improved my spinning consistency. So I have become a very consistent spinner. I can sit down at the wheel even after taking a break. Like I was away for 10 days earlier this month, or in December, for the Christmas holidays, and it really made me a very consistent spinner. And it also really improved my plying. My plying was super loose. So apologies to those of you who maybe got some yarn from me that I had spun in my earlier use before 2024. The plying is super loose. Now I spin a much more tighter ply. It's so much better. Like the yarn is better quality, I think, as a result. So anyway, I'm drinking some coffee still. It's still morning here. My screen looks a little dark because I'm in this dark corner. And I didn't get my studio lights out because they're kind of white. Like I almost wish they were warmer colored. And it's morning, so the sun is still in the front of the building, and I live in the back of the building. So anyway, I will try to fix this in editing. I think it'll pop out. So having coffee in my chicken knitter mug. That I got from virtual Maryland Sheep and Wool. The first virtual that they had, which was probably 2020. I think Greenbridge Pottery, I think is the name of the potter. Or it could be Lion Pottery. I can't remember. But it's definitely in Maryland. I saw them at Maryland Sheep and Wool this time around when I went last year in 2025. So that is my 2025 recap. And if I am not too overwhelmed with editing, I will slide in some pictures of some of my finished objects. Oh, and I am wearing one of them, actually. This is the Inge Solo Sweater by Lene Samsoe? I'm missing a word. Anyway, I'll pop it on screen. This is one of the sweaters that I made earlier in 2025 out of some really beautiful natural brown. This sweater was really popular early in 2025, and the pictures are gray, like it's a gray sweater with red and blue patterning, and I used Renninger natural wool. What have I got on there? Some feathers from my bedding. And then I used Jill Draper Make stuff for the other too. It's a DK weight sweater. It's super warm and cozy, and I have not worn it nearly enough this winter. I do, like, my closet is super limited in terms of what I can have out, and also I'm nervous about having too much out because I have had a moth infestation in my finished sweaters in the past. Not where I live now, but in where I lived before. I lived in a wooded area of New Jersey, and moths were a chronic problem there. Happy to leave that behind. I know that they're in urban environments too, but they're less likely to materialize in urban environments than they are in country environments, because they're a natural part of the breakdown ecological system. Anyway, what I do in my closet, I have most of my closets and most of my sweaters in plastic bins, so I will rotate through them and pull out ones that I haven't seen in a while and put those on the shelf, and put away ones that I'm tired of wearing. Also, I know some people talked about their favorite or their most knitted designers and stuff. I didn't really have any. I made two of the sweaters I made were designs of my own. That was probably the peak, where I had two. The rest of the sweaters were 1-1-1-1. The socks, I knit the same old sock pattern all the time, the DRK Everyday Sock. And although one pair I did knit in a plain vanilla pattern with a heel flap, which was interesting, different for me because I usually do the Fleegle heel. I just really like the Fleegle heel. I like the way it fits. My kids seem to like it too. I do think the 2x2 rib stitch in the DRK Everyday Sock is forgiving in terms of its fit, and I think that makes it a nice universal sock pattern where you don't have to worry about a person's particular foot shapes or anything like that, because the 2x2 rib is going to hug their foot, most likely, unless you're really off. Okay. Plans for 2026. I don't have any, just have broad sweeping plans. My first top of the order is to finish my whips, my 4 whips that I have, here that I'm going to talk to you about shortly. And then to continue spinning every day. I want to continue spinning every day. I do want to reduce my stash. I have done a decent job, at least this year. I want to continue stashing down, and I'm going to, continue to buy with intention, unless it's one of those, like, it's a remarkable purchase, like a really inexpensive price, or like a very reasonable discounted price, or remarkable one-of-a-kind type of yarn or fiber that I can't get. In terms of my fiber, I'm going to try really hard to purchase as little as possible. I did a lot of purchasing of fiber right at the end in the last quarter, I would say, last 3 months of 2025. Some was unique and deeply discounted fiber that I need to pick and card. And some was just destashes. I saw some destashes on the destash. People have asked me before and I haven't talked about it. I think I wrote it in comments, but my go-to destash place is Yarn Swap on Reddit, the Reddit subreddit Yarn Swap. Things move very fast though, so if you see a post and it's been up for 8 hours or more, everything's probably gone. Unless someone hasn't priced them low enough. So that's where I will do my destashing. And also where I have done my purchasing. So sometimes people post fiber and it's just such a great buy. I just pick it up because I know it's, again, trying to make that connection between fiber I love, that will make yarn I love, that I want to knit with. One of the things I learned this year in terms of what I want to knit with is that I really don't like purple. I love looking at it, but I don't like wearing it. It is really unflattering color on me. So it's like pretty much all shades. I realize that all shades of purple are just a no-go for me. I just don't like them. I don't like to wear them. They're pretty to look at. I will often buy fiber that has purple in it, and then I'm like, why did I do this? Like, it's really pretty, but this is something I'm not going to wear. I'm also trying to steer clear of muted tones, because muted tones also do not look good on me. They just look washed out. The only one I can get away with is a soft pink. And I don't love it. I don't love soft pink. I like it, and I know it looks good on me, so I will purchase it. But yeah, those are my. Oh, and also olive. I hate olive. Sorry, full disclosure. Apologies to olive lovers. I really don't like olive, and I don't like soft sagey green either. Just no. But darn it, I have fleece in my stash that are these colors. So I should probably just destash it and maybe just make them at, I don't know, I'll see. I do my destashes on a whim. I'm not really good at planning them. I'm going to talk more about 2026 knitting towards the end, but let me get into what I worked on, what my recent finished objects, as I have several. So first of all, I'm going to show you this clip of a sweater that I finished that I was working on. I think I had it almost done it was close to being finished in my final episode of 2025. Just a quick little video to show you this sweater. I finished it. I'm going to wrap it up and gift it to my daughter-in-law. I'm going to try to get a picture of her in it. I may or may not succeed, but I'm really, really happy with the way it came out. grew a little bit. It seems a little bigger than I thought. I may have to reduce the length. It might be a little too long on her, but overall, I think it looks really great. This round of increases is still a little rumply, but overall, I think the effect is pretty awesome. All right, so it was from some handspun that I spun from this. It was fiber based on this photo here from Tour de Fleece. It was a Polworth silk blend, and this is Inglenook. Inglenook fiber, just gorgeous. Again, this is yarn fiber that I loved and spun into yarn that was gorgeous, but not yarn I necessarily wanted to wear. And I talked about this in my last episode. My children and their partners are all Hispanic, so they're different from different nations. And they're all dark-skinned, dark-haired, dark-eyed, and these colors look great on some of them. I think these look good on two of them in particular, one of my sons and one of my daughter-in-laws. It's really like these blue and purple tones just really vibrate on their skin. I think they're a little more sallow. They're a little more on the sallow side of the spectrum. One of my sons is a true olive, and he's like, I get confused over olive, what looks good on olive toned skin. Yeah, he's an interesting coloring. He loves all shades of green though, so it's pretty easy to make things for him. I also used this in the black. Was this BFL BFF from Ewetopia? My camera is not loving my. There we go. 100% blue face luster. This is a DK weight, 265 yards, or over 4 ounces. That sweater, so I made the Easy V by Caitlin Hunter. It used almost a full skein of that black. So this is all I had left. And I made the smallest size because my daughter-in-law that I gifted that to is a small person. And this is all I had left. I had 600, almost 700 yards of this, and I have a little dab of the yarn left. Yeah. Anyway, I hope I talked enough about the choices I made in that clip. I also finished the 24-day stripe socks and gifted those to my other son's partner, the one that asked for socks. So I have a picture of them here. These are the ones that I did a heel flap and gusset. I knit them top down. I normally do toe up. I knit them top down. I used I kind of loosely followed a pattern that I had knit previously 2 years ago when I made my own 24 stripe socks. These are really pretty. This was probably my favorite 24 stripe socks that I have made from Woolens and Nosh's 24-day stripe socks. Those 24-day sock kits are really expensive. It cost me $75 for that that yarn. But I got the experience of knitting, like this lovely daily meditation of knitting a stripe, a sock on each sock every day. And I didn't have the stress that I have had on previous years where I ended up having to frog because I miscalculated. Like, I knew all the things. I knew the stitch count. I knew the row gauge. I knew how many rows I had to knit. I knew all the things because I had worked that out 2 years ago. So yeah, those were really fun. And I purchased that kit in her excess kit sale that she did in like October or November, early November maybe. Yeah, so it was like very much on a whim. I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna get this. I had decided I wasn't going to, and then changed my mind. So, but I'm glad I did. They were really fun, and I really very much enjoyed making those. And I hope that my son's partner enjoys wearing them. She was super excited to get them. So, I have to remember to make her. My other daughter-in-law told me, well, not other daughter-in-law, but one of my daughter-in-laws told me that she'd worn through a hole on her oldest socks that I made her, and she asked me what to do, and if she was like kind of shy about telling me because she thought maybe she messed up, and I said, no, it just happens, like it's okay, they can be mended. But then my son was like, no, the yarn is gone. Like, it's not that it's the yarn, she wore out the yarn because she wears them so much. And I said, oh, all right, then don't be precious about them. I'll make you some more. It's fine. So I'm happy to have excuses to make socks, especially because the women, the three partners of my sons and I all wear the same size. So it's really easy. But having said that, I made these for me. These were my New Year's Day socks. I finished these on New Year's Eve and put them on the next day. I like to have a fresh new pair of socks for New Year's Day. These are DRK Everyday, Fleegle Heel, and I knit them with yarn I don't have handy. I wonder what I did with it. I don't know. Did I have extra? No, oh my goodness. I used up the entire skein. In fact, one of the legs is 3 rows shorter than the other. And I'm not going to fix it. I was going to pull it out and make them even because I made this one first. I like to do 50 rows in the leg. And this one only ended up being 47 because I was literally with a crochet hook finishing the last, because I couldn't use my needles anymore, doing the last couple cast off stitches because that's how down to the wire I was with this. So this sock yarn is by White Barn Farms, and it is a Cormo, 80% Cormo, 20% nylon. And I held 2 strands together. It's a fingering weight. I think it's called Ramble. This is Miami blue stripe, I think. The dyer producer, White Barn Farms, has a Cornwall ranch in upstate New York, and the yarn is designed to microstripe if you knit fingering weight. I held 2 strands together so that I could knit my typical DK weight sock, and you can kind of see it microstriped a bit on the toes, but it then kind of turned into a marl for most of the sock. There's places where it stripes a little bit there, a little bit there, but mostly you just kind of get this mush of marl. But these are so squishy soft. Oof, I love them. I do have one more skein of this yarn that I'm gonna make for the daughter-in-law who's wore her socks out, so those will be coming up in the new year. My next socks though are gonna be for my son. I have some gorgeous green yarn I bought in a D-stash. I haven't cast those on yet, so I'll show you those next time. Hopefully there'll be like at least one sock done when I see you again. All right, so those are my FOs. 3 FOs, 2 pairs of socks, 1 sweater. My whips. Oh my goodness, this sweater. So when I traveled to Texas to see my son and daughter-in-law and my granddaughter, they live in El Paso, Texas. I realized that I can only take one project besides socks. I took those stripy socks I just showed you, and I also took my 24-day socks, but I couldn't take another big project. I was packing so that I could do a carry-on and without checking my luggage, because it costs so much money to check luggage these days. And I had shipped all the gifts, so all the gifts I had for them, aside from 1 or 2 small things that fit in my luggage, everything else I shipped to them, including a box that I shipped from my house. So anyway, I was only able to take one project. I opted to take this one, vintage flannel. So I got a lot of work done. I finished the bottom and I finished one sleeve. This is damp right now because I blocked it. I was curious if I made the sleeve too long. Like, I just was curious if it was gonna grow, and it actually looks pretty okay. Can you see? I think it's actually pretty good. See? I think once I have it on. I was also curious if I got the length long enough. It's so cute. Oh my goodness. I think I did. I can't tell because it's still damp and I don't want to wear a wet sweater. I did not do the purl on the back. You're meant to do a purl in block letters on the back. I skipped that part because I didn't necessarily like the block letters, the font. I didn't like the font that it was made out of, and you have to commit to the length when you start those. And I just wasn't sure I could commit to the length. So I wanted to have the freedom of being able to hold the sweater up against me and make sure that it was going to fit me well. So I think I got the length okay. We'll see. As I said, it's still pretty damp. I think it did grow a smidge. And yeah, overall, I think it's going to be a pretty nice fitting sweater. I'm going to take a moment to just put this on back on the blocking mat because it is really wet. I shouldn't say really wet. It's not really wet. It's a little wet. All right, cool. Let's move on. I want to talk about this. This is Harvest Flower sweater by Jessie Made Designs. I also blocked this. So I got to this point and I did a couple modifications of the color work. I blocked it because I was concerned that it was going to be like a weird fit. I do think it's a weird fit. I don't think for me there's not enough width right around this section here. So this is a section that when I do sweaters, raglan in particular, I don't have enough width right here. And it seems like when I put this on after it dried, and it seems to me like it's going to be tight right there, right across here, which I'm not happy about. I swear to God, this project is one problem away from being frogged. Like, it is really one problem away from being frogged. Like, as I was knitting it, I liked it. I liked it all the way through the flowers. I got to the green. That was okay too. There are just too many places where you have to knit 3 colors at a time. Like, you're knitting 3 colors in a single row. Too much. I didn't think it was as much as it is. Like, when you look at it, it becomes obvious that, oh yeah, you're going to knit a lot of sections of it using 3 colors. I was also like, you're not meant to carry the floats you are meant to carry the floats. You're not meant to catch the floats in long sections, and that just creates more puckering. It turned out to be okay. Like, the flower was very puckered before I blocked it, and I really didn't think it was going to block out. And in my head, I was like, if it doesn't block out, I'm frogging it. Like, I'm just done. And I wouldn't even try to reknit it. I would just be done, because that's how frustrated I was just knitting this whole thing. A couple other things that really frustrated me: the yoke drop is really long. So so you can see here, I stopped the yoke drop well above the color work. So within the last, I knit another 1.5 inches. I measured it elsewhere. It's another 1.5 inches of color work after I stopped knitting the yoke. So I already have a 10-inch yoke. 10 inches is the max I can do. I just don't want it longer than that. Longer than that, when I lift my arm up, I can pull my elbow through and out of my sweater without having to pull the sleeve. And it becomes like a swan show. And I just was like, no, this is not a thing I like. I don't like to wear swan shows. So, yeah. So I had to modify the color work to not have that penis shape between each flower. So that was also, it was funny at first, and then I was just annoyed because every single time I was looking at the chart, I had to, I should have printed it out so I could have colored it in. That would have made my life a lot easier. Instead, I had to like remember what I was doing, and I didn't quite get it right on the first leaf. There's a little bit of a jag in the, whatever. I was going to go back and duplicate stitch it. I don't care anymore. It's fine. It looks fine. Can you tell really over this sweater, really over it. I'm gonna finish it. I may give this to my daughter-in-law who's smaller than me because it might fit her better than it's gonna fit me. I just really don't like that tightness right there. Really don't like that. And it might be just because maybe I'm just broad-shouldered. I don't know what it is, but it is, or maybe I should have knit a bigger size. I don't know. I mean, it's not incredibly tight though. You can see there's a lot of ease in here. In this section here, which is where the fullness of the bust is. I mean, I made the size 3 and I'm a 37.5 inch bust. So the size 3 is supposed to be 44 inches. I do not think it's 44 inches. I think I got more like 42, but still that's almost 5 inches of ease. It should be plenty. But nevertheless, it's super tight right here. What I should have done in this section right here is more increases. Also, because I had to stop the color work before the sleeve separation, it's really jaggy here. So I ended up like doing a mishmash of the color work underneath the armhole. It wasn't smooth. I just couldn't justify putting in as many stitches as I would need to do a full repeat of each of those motifs. And does mean I will have to do some color work on the sleeve when I go back to knit those. So, yeah, those are all the problems I had with this. That's why it's one problem away from being frogged, because if I have one more problem with it, I'm done. And I will just repurpose the yarn into other things. I mean, the yellow, pink, and green are all scraps anyway, leftovers from previous projects. So the black would be what I would repurpose into something else. Anyway, well, let me tell you about the yarn. The black is actually Brooklyn Tweed. This is part of that special buy that I got. I bought this in their closing sale. So it's Arbor, which is 100% American Targhee. And it is the colorway Kettle. I think the skeins are 50 grams. Right? No, they don't say the grams, but they're only 145 yards each. And I bought a sweater's quantity of this black yarn that I really like. And then the blue-green is Santaskar Double Sunday in the Petite Knit colorway Mint. The yellow is Ching Fiber. I don't know why I don't have all those tags in here anymore, but I don't. Oh, I know, I put them in with the, because I put the colors away, because I will just knit black. The body is just black. Yellow from Ching Fiber in her Dashing DK base. And the color is yellow, yellow. And the pink, or coral, is We Listen by At Hayes House. So, that is that sweater. That very frustrating experience. I hope I like it when it's done. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty to look at. Maybe I'll wear it a few times and give it away to someone smaller than me. I don't know. Gotta figure that out. Okay. I'm only going to show you one other whip. I do have two others, but one of them I haven't done anything on. All right, so I resurrected out of my languishing whip pile my Awesomer Gossamer by Stephen West. And it is this all over fuzzy sweater shawl made from, fuzzy yarns, mohair. I think he used mohair silk. And his, I'm using a combination of Surrey silk and cashmere silk. Sometimes it has, some of it's 100%, some of it is not. I was working on this earlier in the year and decided I just got tired of it because there's over 500 stitches now on the needles and it was just taking so long. But so I put it away. I was probably to about here, this like dusky pink stripe. So I've knit these 5 stripes. I'm partway through the 5th one down here. And the the idea of this is that you start with this like garter stitch, half moon circle you cast on right here, and you're doing this marl effect. So you're holding, it's 8 colors, you're holding 2 colors at all times, and the colors will change subtly. So my first color is actually my 2 lightest colors. Then you drop the very lightest and use the second lightest and third lightest, and so on and so forth. So each stripe you're migrating, you're using a color twice, and then you're dropping it out and picking up the next color. So it makes for this really cool gradient marl effect. And then when you get to the last color, you pick up the lightest color. Where am I? Here. You pick up the your brightest or darkest color and hold it with your lightest color to close the loop on the gradient. And then you do these tiny bubbles first, then medium-sized bubbles, and then finally you do the large-sized bubbles at the end, like a bubble stitch. You're doing a bubble stitch for the whole shawl. I actually, when I was knitting it previously this year, I decided to only do, you're supposed to do 10 rows each stripe with the big bubbles, and I chose to only do 8 in these 2 right here. And when I picked it up again, I was like, oh, I really should do 10. So I decided to do 10. So I switched. The third stripe is 10 rows, and every one after that is 10 rows. So you get like a bigger bubble effect than you would with just 8. So my stitch count is actually off by 4 stitches, which I will add at some point before the border. There is a lace border that comes after this that you do in the same gradient. I don't know if I'm going to have enough yarn to complete the entire gradient. I'm going to sort of fudge it when I get there. If I end up making a slightly smaller border, or maybe fudging, like this is one that I don't know if I have enough of. The yarns are all different makers. It was all yarn I had in stash aside from one color, this one here. And this is a mohair Surrey blend from it was super interesting. I bought it at Vogue Knitting Live last year. It is this. I don't have any patience. There we go. So, I did buy this for it only because I had all the other yarns. This was the swatch card that I took to Vogue to just figure out what would fit in there. The rest of these I had in my stash. Some of it was just extra from previous sweaters and projects. Like I made a daily pullover with this. This is La Bien-Aimée, the colorway Wisteria, Surrey silk. These 3 are cashmere silk blends from Moondrake, brushed cashmere. I think there's silk in there too. Let me see. Cannot recall. Colors that I don't think she makes anymore because these are old. I've had them for a while. Sorry. Cashmere Merino 7030. Electric Berry. Oh, and I have to say, one of my viewers, when I was knitting this earlier this year, one of my viewers sent me a skein of this. This was the one color that I knew I didn't have enough of to get through the bubbles, and I used some of it. So thank you very much, Kim. I really appreciate it. Actually, I think she goes by Kimberly. So thank you. Really, really helped. And then some of these are Lamb and Kid. So these 2 are Lamb and Kid Surrey silk mixes, and then finally my very dusty rose is a real cashmere lace, 100% cashmere lace from Ficolana. Oh, sorry, Filatura di Crosa, yarn I bought in Italy in 2019. I didn't have a plan for it. It was just pretty souvenir yarn, and I do have another skein of this. So this is the only one I don't think I have another skein of, but I I don't like purple. So it'll be fine. I'm going to just fudge with this lovely that I have. All right. Yeah, so that's pretty much yarn. Sorry, touching my nose so much because fuzzy yarns make me itch. But this has been very nice. This knitting in the few days that I've been home from Texas, just like I have been homebound, like just not wanting to leave my house after a long trip. I always just want to hang out at my house and cuddle with my kittens and do comfort knits, and that's exactly what this has been. So I am determined to get this done. This is going to be for my son's partner's birthday. Her birthday is January 17th, so it's 2 weeks from now. And I want this done. So this has been consuming a lot of my knitting time. But honestly, like, I want all 3 of these projects done by the end of the month. I would be delighted. I don't think I'm going to make it, but I'm going to get close. The saving grace with this one is that I am working on large needles. I think it's US size 8 needles for the body. And now I'm not doing color work anymore, aside from when I go back to the sleeves. And I'm just going to zoom through that body, I hope. My 4th whip is a blanket, a scrappy blanket, which I also really want to finish. I actually, when I got home from my trip, I was thinking to myself, I got to finish this. It's cold. Like, my apartment's been chilly. I can turn the heat up, but I really like to be able to wear a sweater, and I like to get cozy. So, and my cats have heating pads, so they're fine. And one of them is sleeping on one of the heating pads, and the other one is not. He's just on the couch. So they're fine. I like the apartment to be a little cold so that I can cozy up. But my one son's partner and my son and his partner gave me a blanket, gave me a furry throw. It's really cool. I didn't think the cats would like it, but they actually do like it. So the urgency to finish the blanket kind of dropped off. I still want to finish the blanket, and I feel like I could finish it in a weekend. So maybe in a weekend or 2 coming up, I'm just going to sit here and finish that freaking blanket, and I'll be able to show you. I was worried. It's a ivory, and I'll put some footage in here of it. It's an ivory and dusty pink, like ballet pink, soft pink color, marl. And I have plenty of the pink, but not much of the white yarn. I think I have attached all the white yarn that I have, aside from a little bit of extra that I just finished. Projects that I just recently finished. So I was thinking to myself, like, I'm not going to have enough to make a white, to hold as much white. So it's probably about 60-40 white to pink, maybe even more, 70-30. And that's going to flip in the last, like, probably foot of the blanket if I just use the yarn I have. And I think I'm okay with that. I just have sort of come to terms with that's okay. Because I just want to finish it. And also, like, that blanket and this shawl are using a lot of yardage. So they're really going to account for a lot of yardage when I do my 2026 recap. All right, let me talk to you about some stash that I acquired. So I purchased from a D-stash, and I'm so proud of myself because these are such good purchases. I always it gives me pause when I see people destashing really usable yarn that is like solid colors. Like, I know I knit a ton of white yarn, and so let me show you these quickly before I get too in the weeds. I got this woolly mammoth. Let me turn it sideways so it blocks. Woolly mammoth. So I'm farsighted because I'm old and I rely on the camera so that I could read the label to you. So, okay, 50% Cheviot, 50% BFL. This is her natural sock base that she's had in her store for a long time. She took if you know Woolly Mammoth, Emma took the year off, most of the year off to have a baby. and be on maternity leave. So I think she had the baby in the spring, so she's been off, not dyeing except for herself. She has a YouTube channel if you want to check her out, but she's been like a strong advocate of natural fibers, natural sock. If you go back in her, in the history of her channel, she talks a lot about finding the right natural sock base and stuff. So anyway, she does have a limited quantity in her shop currently, and I think she's planning to gear up for production at the beginning of this year. I think her next shop update is February or March. It's coming up. But because of tariffs, a skein of her yarn now costs $70 here in the US. Like, to purchase it and pay the tariffs and shipping, $70. I got this for $20. So I was delighted to get some Woolly Mammoth natural sock in natural sheepy white for $20. Excellent. Again, I don't know why people are motivated to sell their stash, but I was delighted to pick that up. The same seller was selling some West wool, some old West wool, this is the bicycle base, right? Yes, bicycle base. In natural, which is, it's called birch tree. I don't know if he still has this color, but so I got 2 skeins of the natural and 1 skein of this. I think it's a deep dark navy. Yeah, it looks deep dark navy, especially against the black sweater behind it. This is called Canal House. So 100 gram skeins. The West Wool is now doing 50 gram skeins. So 100 gram skeins of these. So these 2 of them may end up being a pair of mitts for me. Or, I don't know. I didn't have a plan for this. I just thought, what a buy. What a fantastic buy. And I was happy to add it to my stash. Because again, the tariffs really have made purchasing here expensive. Like, purchasing yarn from overseas, other than England. I think England is still okay, although the tariffs on this was pretty high. Tariffs and shipping are pretty high. I mean, we'll see. Maybe some changes are afoot. I don't know. Really not happy about the whole tariff situation, because it is taxes on U.S. consumers. And if you disagree with me, I don't care. You're wrong. You have an opinion that's not based on fact. If you disagree with me, sorry. I grabbed some OJ while I was doing one of my breaks from getting up and running around. Anyway, fiber stash. How are we doing on time? Not too bad. Okay, so I got my Melly Knits bat for December, fiber bat. And this one is interesting. I'm sure it has a story. I would love to hear the story. Maybe I need to watch more of her Instagram where she shows this, she tells the story. So it's 100% coated Gulf Coast native from Roy Bob's farm in Washington, and 50% alpaca. And what's interesting is that the colors, this is kind of a chocolatey brown, and then a natural, and that's the alpaca. This is the wool. But it turns into this gray. It's super interesting. It's really, really soft and squishy. The club that I'm in is called Jiggly Butt, which you can just imagine, like the jiggly butts of sheep. And it's supposed to be really soft, squishy, luxurious blends in natural sheep colors. So it's really cool. I really love it. I'm spinning right now currently. It's like I'm implying, so I'll have it next time. It's a merino yak blend, and it's so soft. Oh, so soft. I think I might make like a cable hat with it. I've been really loving cables lately. Okay, that's all my knitting and fiber related stuff. So real quick knife updates. I have been talking about getting my kitchen renovated for the last 10 months. I think I reached out to the contractor last February. And it was a contractor who came highly recommended from a friend of mine. And she had her house, 2 houses renovated that are on the same street that I'm on, but in a couple towns away. New Jersey, if you know it, it's like our towns, you can't tell. If you didn't know, if there wasn't a sign telling you went from one town to the next, you wouldn't have any idea, but that's how a lot of New Jersey ends up looking. So she's 2 towns away. I drive by it all the time, and I finally reached out to the contractor. I was super nervous about starting the process, more because I just want to be comfortable in my own home, and I wasn't looking forward to having to move out for any period of time, and I just was really like hesitant. And then I got started in the designing process and really enjoyed it. And I have the money, so it's not that I don't have the money. I talked with my financial planner, and I had an inheritance that I had invested for a lot of years, and he told me it was time to take it out and use it for something. So that's what I did at the beginning of last year. I took the money out and planned to use it for this renovation. So it's been hanging out in a high yield savings account, gathering interest. Now I've spent about half of it on this kitchen renovation. I had to pay. My appliances are sitting in a warehouse, and my cabinets, all of them, are sitting in a warehouse as of the end of this year. The contractor's supposed to start next week. I don't know that he will. I'm not ready for him to start. I have not packed up the kitchen. I'm really delaying doing that until the very last minute, because I didn't want to pack up the kitchen and be sitting in my apartment with a pile of boxes in my living room waiting for him to start for weeks on end, because this is how it's been with this guy. Like, he's a small business, tiny operation, and it's been a lot of like waiting for him to do the things that he needs to do. So it took him forever to get me an invoice and tell me how much it was going to cost for his costs. It took forever for him to file the permits and then get the permits from the town. And all of that just kind of came together. And then also I was waiting. Once he put the permits in, I was able to request the permission to do the renovation of the building. Everything came together just right after Christmas. So I got the permits. I got the permission from the building. The cabinets came in because I finally ordered them, because I was worried about the 25% tuition or tariff increase that the federal government here wasn't going to impose on cabinets. I'm already paying $3,000 in tariffs on my cabinets, and it would have been another $3,000 that frankly I'd rather use for something else. So I am anxious about the process. I hope, because everything is in aside. I haven't ordered the tile yet, though it seems like the tile, I need small quantities, so I don't think I'm going to need like tile for the floor and tile for the backsplash. Since those are small, I think I'll be okay in terms of delivery. I am going to look at that. I'm going to look at that this week. And also, I don't have my sink yet or my faucet. I'm not doing any special lighting. I'm doing some hi-hats. So that's easy enough. Those you can get. I can pick those up at Home Depot. I don't need any special order or anything like that on those. So yeah, hopefully he's going to start, and he's supposed to start with the electric. So the electric in this apartment. So I am in a vintage building. I guess it's antique because it's 100 years old in 2 years. It'll be in 2028, 2028 it'll be 100 years old. It was built in the 1920s. I think it took 3 years for them to finish it. And it's an old Ritz-Carlton hotel that was changed into apartments at some point. And it's a gorgeous old building from the Art Deco period of architecture, and it just has a lot of character. And Yeah, it's really cool. I love it. I don't love the electric though. So the electric is from, I don't know whenever they put electric in the building. I guess at the time, maybe it got updated in the 40s or so, but the wires are very, very thick. I've talked about this before. The connecting wires for replaced all the ceiling fixtures in the apartment. And aside from the bathroom where the wiring was updated, I guess in the 80s or so, the rest of the wiring in the apartment is old and from the 1940s, 30s or 40s, something like that. And the wire's like this thick. It's not the really delicate wiring that we have these days. And also the electric is always on, so there's no panel that regulates it. So he's going to do all of that. He's going to upgrade the electric in the apartment and put in a functioning electric panel. So if I need to turn the electric off in the apartment, I can. Like right now, I can't turn the electric off unless I go down to the meter and turn it off in the whole apartment. So that'll be good. That's what he's going to do first, though. So that will take a week or two, I think, depending on the inspection. And then after that, it should be very fast. So the gutting of it should take a day, and then they will build the base for the cabinets and do the tile and the tile flooring, and then install the cabinets, install the appliances, install the counters. Oh, I haven't ordered the countertops either. I think that's going to be very fast too, within a week. I don't think that's going to be long because I don't need a big piece. I can probably get away with remnants. Yeah, and then it's done. Paint, and it's done. So yeah, I'm excited. I've decided, for better or worse, to renovate the bathroom too. I have a tub shower. I hate it. And I want a regular shower. I just want a shower. I know a tub makes your apartment more marketable, but this is a 1-bedroom, and the chances of someone moving in here with a kid is slim to none. And if they do, they can just use a tub, like a plastic tub or whatever for their kid, like one of those baby tubs. I hate it. I hate having a tub shower. It's really not my thing. So I want the tub pulled out, and I want to put a shower stall in and just new tile. The floor needs to be retiled. I was going to have him just redo the floor, but I think I'm going to have him redo the whole thing. I just need to get a price from him and timing. I think that'll be pretty fast though. Unfortunately, if he does them at the same time, which I understand is more efficient, I have to move out for a short period of time, for a couple weeks, I think, because I don't think I can be here unless there's a functioning toilet and sink. So yeah, not looking forward to that. But I have a couple of options. I have friends that live in the city that have said I can stay with them, and or I could rent a hotel room nearby. There's plenty of hotels around here, so there's that. Not sure what I'm going to end up doing. I really don't want to move out at all, but I also recognize, like, with my 2 fuzzy creatures, my 2 little kitties, it could be very stressful for them to be here in a really cramped setting with construction workers coming and going. So I just don't think it's going to take all that long, though. Like, I don't think someone's going to be in the apartment all day, every day. Like, yeah, when they're gutting it, that's going to be an awful day, but it's one day. And then after that, it's like a worker at a time, right? It'll be like a tiler, it'll be an electrician, it'll be a plumber, it'll be a couple guys building a base for cabinets, and then maybe when they do the cabinet install, that might take a couple days. But like all in of actual work time, I don't think it's really going to be that much because it's a small space. So yeah, we'll see. So that's where I'm at with that. I've been on vacation for 2 weeks. It's been really lovely. I had a great time in El Paso. It's really pretty there. It's the architecture is super interesting in downtown. I should look at when the boom time was, like when most of those buildings were built, but there's some really cool architecture. A lot of the buildings, like it's going through a renaissance, like it's going through a rebirth, and there's a lot of really interesting restaurants that are emerging, and like darling little breweries and stuff like that, and a lot of activities for families, which is really great for my son and his daughter. So yeah, so it was really fun. Just had a great time. Oh, my little granddaughter was in a commercial, just by chance. It wasn't something that she signed up for, but she's a cheerleader mascot for her school, and she was filmed for this commercial. So I'll put that in at the end if you're interested in watching, if I could figure it out. If not, I'll link the video. It's on Instagram, so you can watch that. Yeah, hopefully I can put in, I know I took some stills from the video, so I'll put the stills in at least, and the link for if you want to watch it. I think that's all I have. It's such a long episode. I am not a good planner of my knit projects. I do like to look ahead and think about what yarn I have in my stash that will match with projects that I want to knit. I've been watching a lot of knitting content the last few days just because it's been like perfect, sort of like cozy up on the couch and knit and watch knitting content. So I've gotten a lot of great ideas about what to make. I really want to make an all over cable sweater, which maybe I'm gonna hate myself after that. I do have a sweater that has cables just down the front and on the sleeves in my queue, and I have the yarn for it, so that's probably going to be my next cast on. I will be continuing Cast On With Me. It'll be the 3rd season of that, and I don't anticipate casting on anything new for the next month though, so because I do want to finish these 4 whips, or get like 1 or 2 of them in the bag before I do a new cast on. So we'll see how that goes. But I have a lot of yarn matched with projects. If you're curious what I'm thinking about, you can always look at my Ravelry. I'm pretty active on there. I'm probably most active on Ravelry just because I do it for my own record keeping than I am on like any of my other social media, Instagram or Bluesky. Second most active probably here on YouTube. But yeah, I've matched my yarn and stash with projects, and I think I have about 8 of those matched up, 8 or 9. But some of the things that I've seen over the past few days may shift what I'm thinking. I can say, having done these 2 colorwork sweaters, I am like up to here with colorwork, and I really thought my next cast on would be a colorwork, all over colorwork sweater. But I don't think so. I have a few of them in my queue, and now I'm really rethinking. I think I just need to knit a bigger size than I think I need. And I think that's the secret to all over colorwork, because I'm really feeling like the vintage flannel is going to be a little snugger than I like, and this is definitely not my size, like not a size I'm comfortable with. Yeah, it's unfortunate, right? All that work. But man, I would frog it in a heartbeat. If I put that on after I've knit some of the sleeves and it sucks, yeah, it's just gonna, how could I waste this gorgeous arbor on a sweater I'm not gonna wear? Yeah, anyway, okay, let's end here so that let's end on a happy note. I hope you have a great couple weeks, and I will be back with another episode. I think it corresponds with Vogue Knitting Live. I am planning to go to Vogue Knitting Live. I might go to the Mayak event that is before Vogue. Thinking about it anyway. It will depend on my schedule, my work schedule looks like. Can I take time off to go to an event? But Vogue is on Friday and Saturday. Fridays are pretty low key for me. I can usually get that time off. So I will depending on what my friends are planning to do. I'll either be going in on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. We'll see how it goes. Last year the last couple years I've gone on Friday. I don't have any shopping that I'm dying to do. I am planning to hit up the LBA, the Lobby NMA warehouse sale, which is coming up this weekend. So that may just deplete any desire for new yarn because I'm just going to see how it goes. I don't know how much it will cost. I'll get dinged on tariffs and on shipping. So depending on that, I do have a sweater in mind though that I want to shop for. And if I purchase the yarn from LBA, I won't be looking for it at Vogue, but if I don't get it from LBA, I will be looking for it at Vogue. I'll probably be looking for it at Vogue, I think. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I hope you have a great rest of week and next couple weeks, and I will see you again real soon. Take care. Bye.